Hello and welcome to our first complete iteration of starting from scratch here. So we were able to get ourselves to basically 200 plus or minus, so a decent idea of where we really are with our testament right now, and the answer is bad, right? We are somewhere between like the lowest of the below average but still average players and like way below average. So basically we're bad, and that's kind of the point, right? That's what I'm trying to establish here, but we don't want to stay bad, right? So we're gonna have to work on that. So let's look at our game plan and go over stuff, right? Let's iterate. So what pokes do I have? I was able to figure this out mostly, but we can't be hurt by looking at the command list. So I figured out most of these. I did not figure out that I had a 6H. I never tried. And it looks like it's pretty good. So I've got these different swings. Let's see. So we've got 2S looked really good, really fast. It was a strong round start option if my opponent was pressing. Seemed good. And then we had 5K, which is a little shorter but much faster. Also alright, but I found that I was going towards 2S a little bit more for neutral pokes. Then, obviously, the 5S hits from round start, which is great. But 5H also does, but it's a little slower. So what I found myself doing was putting myself between these couple ranges, right? If I wanted to hit somebody far away, I was using 5S. If they were a little closer and I wanted to do something fast, it was this 2S. And if they were somewhere in the middle, I could throw out this 5H. It's between them, right? But I didn't use this very often because it's slower than RS and it's got like less cancels. So I didn't want to use that very much. I wound up using basically this and this for the most part, and I was really underestimating, like, this is probably a decent anti-air check also, in addition to the 6P that I should be using. And I never found this button. And I think that probably hurt me a little bit. So I definitely want to be using that button. We'll have to figure out what it Gatlings from, but looks like it doesn't combo there unless we get a counter hit maybe. So we'll look into that, but we're not concerned about that yet. So those are our pokes. So we found a new one. This looks pretty high committal, but we get something pretty great off of it, looks like, right? Oh yeah, I think it's the full hit. Okay, so that's already looking like something we're going to throw in there, especially if it catches jumpers. If I can just catch a jumper with that, which it looks like I might be able to, that's like a big call out that I can actually get some damage off of right now. Then let's look at some of our other iteration stuff. How to get stain. I actually figured some of this stuff out. So I figured out most of my specials. It looked like I don't have any DP specials. My specials were the ground fireball, the air fireball, which I figured out you can hold, and if you do, they like stay and you can do cool stuff. I figured out that you can teleport to it, which is super cool. And if you don't have anything, then you kind of just teleport in place. So it's wherever that little like heart is, and you can set it up a couple of different ways. You can throw the crow. I did not figure out, however, and I just looked this up in the command list a second ago, that Unholy Diver changes depending upon whether you fly forward or not. It was kind of random. I saw that it was doing both when I had like if I had done this, for example, I would see that sometimes it was like going up like I wanted it to, and sometimes I would do this and it would just like go straight, and it was because I was holding the button down apparently. So now I've learned that, which is good, and this is a nice little like far ranged poke too. Like you can really get something out of that, and I'm pleased to know that that's how I can get some stain. So if we throw this out and they jump, we can get it, or if we throw this out and then we just tap, it'll go to it and we can stain them, and we might be able to do that on the ground, I'm not sure. So that'll be fun. And then I didn't use them much because I didn't have a big use for them, but it does look like we have like a pillar that's an overhead and a pillar that's a low, so obviously overhead, low. And I haven't been able to play around enough to test to see whether or not stain makes that safe if you have like a legitimate high-low opportunity off of that. But I think that if you're in the corner, it'll go too far off screen if you're too far away. So that's interesting. It's actually a pillar that goes a set distance to a degree. Right, like, you can see that even though we're getting pushed back every time we do this, it's kind of staying in the same place for quite some time. So, neat. Gives you a little bit of leeway, and that's good. And now we're going to figure out what our supers are, because I still don't know. Alright, we've got... oh, okay, I was trying to do slash and heavy slash when I did that, so... Nostrovia is double quarter circle forward punch, so let's try that real quick. Oh, yeah, I've seen this one before. This is like the lockdown super, right? So you kind of like do something, and then I think you can just run in after this. Yeah, you recover before they do, and it gives a stain, which is cool. And then the other one is double quarter circle forward and kick. Yeah, I was trying to mostly do half circles. That looks slow. That looks slow to me. Let's see. Actually, let's do this. A little too slow. This is invincible, right? Okay, that was a punish still, even on his K. So maybe I think it looked slow to me for a DP. Yeah, I just like maybe it's the flash that makes it look slow. I'm not sure, because it doesn't really like zoom in a lot. I'll have to play with it, but it looks like it is invincible. We played that a little bit, right? Yeah, definitely invincible. Okay, cool. So we do have a reversal, even if it isn't great. And so yeah, that's kind of those are our buttons. We figured most of them out playing, but not all of them. Enough that we could play with. And then getting stain, we figured that out, so it's mostly off of this succubus into hitting with the bird, or off of this super that we never got. So that's good to know. So now we know how to get stain. We don't know how to really burn off of stain yet, but just even knowing that how we get it is going to be big. Getting knockdowns, so we did kind of figure out what moves cause a knockdown. Obviously, I was mostly playing with throw and sweep, and I did figure out while I was playing that this is a combo, so that was kind of my pressure. So that was all right. And then a lot of Testament's moves seem to be soft knockdowns. So if we get that, it's a soft knockdown. I think even the like big version of it, the big meaty version where we stay out, is a soft knockdown. This one is a soft knockdown. Then we have like the bird. The bird is just like a stun, to be honest. It doesn't even like knock him down. And then our only real like big knockdown stuff looked like it was our standard. Oh, that was actually too slow. It was like our standard like throws, sweep, and supers were tended to be knockdowns, right? So if we did this, I'm assuming that this is an actual hard knockdown if we just let it rock. Yeah, it is. And then same thing here. Oh, if we don't push the wrong button, that'll help a lot. And that's a hard knockdown, yeah. So that's it. That's it. That's all Testament gets for hard knockdowns. So that was a big deal. We did not have as many hard knockdowns as I would have wanted, but you know, anyway, that's kind of how it goes. We have a lot of cool tools, so I can't complain too much. And yeah, so that was our stain. We figured out that. We figured out our knockdowns for the most part. And yeah, this was our strike throw win con. We got to run it a couple of times. Not very many times, to be fair, but we did get to run it. So normally I would say that we're going to look at some footage and decide what we need to do, but honestly, I don't feel like that's required yet, because obviously the answer is everything, and everything is so far down that we can kind of pick one that we want and go from there. So the big one that I want right now is neutral. So if I were to have to rate myself for all of these things right now, our offense, like, we're decent at meaty timings, but our damage is bad. We can only get knockdowns off of very specific setups. Probably like 4 out of 10. Like, that's bad, but we're kind of getting away with it somewhat when we're playing because we are able to just play opponents that are going to mash and not willing to block and stuff. Defense was also pretty bad. We had a couple of things, but we're not thinking when we defend. It's taking us a second. My big thing here is going to be to use the D-pad because I don't down back. Like, if I down back on the joystick, a lot of times it gets so close to where I'm just moving forward that a lot of times I'm not actually blocking, or like not keeping my legs safe here because, you know, the joystick doesn't have really an indicator, but the D-pad has got a pretty reasonable one. Like, I can go where I want to pretty consistently here. You'll just have to watch out for jumping, apparently. Which, interestingly, is not as much of a problem on the joystick. I don't know. We'll have to work on this, right? We've got problems here. And then neutral. Our neutral was probably our best. I'm going to say 5 out of 10. We were able to keep some people out with fireballs and make them feel like they had to approach, even in like matchups where I'm pretty sure Faust generally doesn't have to approach there. That Kai that we were playing earlier that we did well against also kind of felt the same way. So, what do I want to work on now? So we've got this. We've answered these questions, right? So now we want to get a slightly better idea of what to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up some new goals now that we kind of know what we want. My defense is the worst, so we'll get to that in a second. But basically for neutral, I'm going to try to figure out like KD and Stain setups, right? Like the neutral should be scary because now they have Stain, now they have to worry about that. Or now they're knocked down and they have to worry about that, right? So I gotta figure out some setups here, so I'm going to do that. And that is going to happen not while I am playing, but instead I'm going to figure out some setups and then we'll practice them while playing. And then, obviously, this has now become a part of our neutral. That's just how it's gonna be. Get the knockdowns. So we figured out all of our knockdowns. And so basically all of that stuff that we originally had is now going to go into this one section, right? It's still play neutral, but now it's get better rewards for winning neutral. That's our next goal here. The basic strike throw seems about right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one thing on each of these. So for our neutral, right here. Figure out how to get more out of our neutral. That's it. For our offense, basic strike throw win con, that seems to be correct. I mean, both of these buttons look really slow and very situational, right? If you're too close, it just goes behind them. If you're too far away, it goes in front of them. So, definitely looks like strike throw is our answer here, which is not too surprising, but we're going to try to get more off of it, right? So, watch a Testament player and pick up like 1 to 2 setups, right? So what do we do when we get certain hits? What's our plan? If we throw, can we get a Stain setup out of it or something? If we, you know, like the good players are going to know how to do this. And we're going to see what they're going for off of it so that we can learn a basic setup. Now, there's a lot to learn from high-level players, but we can pick some of the basic, easy-to-pick-up stuff first. That's our goal. And then our final one is use FD. We are not using our meter basically at all, right? Except for the occasional RC that I'm not even, like, really sure when to use those yet. So we're going to have a lot of meter to practice the new the new FD button, right? So we should be able to push this a little bit more often and force players out. And at low levels, this is going to be a really powerful tool. It uses less meter than it used to, which is a big deal. It doesn't have the timing requirements of like instant blocking or fuzzying, because those are going to be like character specific. So I'm still picking pretty broad stuff. So use FD, figure out how to get some like nasty stain setups off of our neutral, instead of like basically resetting a bunch of times until we get like a counter hit, and figure out a setup. One off of close slash, let's say. I think one off of close slash is good, and then figure out what they're doing off of throw, and that'll be it. So I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna figure out who I want to watch, who I want to get some good ideas from, and we're gonna go do that. So I will be right back after I do that, or maybe I'll let you join me, and I will see you there.